masu girma mayan baki na wannan taro a wannan rana. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Kamin mu fara wannan shiri gadan-gadan, ina mai amfani da wannan dama in yi mana maraba da zuwa tare da jinjina ga manyan bakinmu wayanda suka halarci wannan taro a wannan rana, a wannan lokaci, a kuma wannan ɗakin taro na Command Guest-In. Muna kuma amfani da wannan dama mu ƙara rarrashin wayanda suka jima har yanzu ba a fara ba. Insha Allah a kowane lokaci daga wannan gaba da muke za mu suma wannan taro din insha Allah. Ni mai magana sunana Umar Mahmud Umar, kuma I will be the anchor for today insha Allah. Most importantly, for our audience who might likely not be able to comprehend Hausa efficiently, I'm using this medium to welcome you to this very important occasion. One, commemoration of the World Anti-Corruption Day. As you can see broadly on the banner, Arewa Research and Development Project, in close ties with Tracker Development Agency, publicly known here in Zamfara State as Tracker, is going to commemorate this important day for all of us to be able to efficiently contribute. Notwithstanding, we appreciate the early birds, people whom we are together with them right from the onset. Any moment from now, we're going to formally commence the program. Our guest traveled all the way from Kaduna in person of Professor Kabir Suleiman Chafe, as he publicly known to be addressed. He's at the chalet waiting for our signal, while we have our VVIPs, members of the Nigerian Labour Congress, the TUC, the NUJ, and the civil society community members. Notwithstanding, thank you for honoring our invitation, and thank you for being patient. Assalamu alaikum. Is the Director, Arewa Research and Development Project, in person of Professor Kabir Suleiman Chafe. And I would like to invite Comrade Sani Haliru of NLC and Comrade Sa'idu Moody of TUC to join our guest at the forefront of the stage. Please let's appreciate them. Inshallah, I'll be code switching to the language we best understand, which is Hausa. World Anti-Corruption Day, wanda wannan gidauniya ta ERDP take commemorating a kowane shekara a jihohin Borno da jihar Zamfara, tare da tallafin gidauniyar Makatha, kamar da muke gani rubuce a bana ta wannan shiri. Insha Allah ba zan so yi nisa da wannan taro ba, sai na gayyaci ɗaya daga cikinmu domin ya buɗe mana wannan taro da addu'a kamar yadda aka saba. A volunteer please, Malam Isa.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد وارحم محمد كما صليت ورحمت وباركت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم في العالمين انك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد وارحم محمد كما صليت ورحمت وباركت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم في العالمين انك حميد مجيد. ربنا اننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للايمان ان امنوا بربكم فامنا به. ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الابرار. ربنا وآتنا ما وعدتنا على رسلك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامه إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
A volunteer and a brother in struggle, the chairman of Nigerian Union of Journalists, in person of Comrade Mezare. Super Chairman, we thank you for that quick prayer for us. And as we can all observe, today is going to be an interactive open session in commemoration of the World Anti-Corruption Day with Arewa Research and Development Project and Tracker. So there is no actually programs of events that we'll be following to guide us, because we want everybody to be in the picture of the business of the day. Inshallah, the four seated gentlemen on the seat are going to also elucidate more. But notwithstanding, we have enshrined to observe the national anthem. Please, let's be on our feet for the national anthem. You can see this program was deliberately and strategically planned to get us on board. So I would like to start with ARDP. Area Research and Development Project was established in the year 2011 and is a non-profit committed to promoting social justice and sustainable development through empirical research, legislative advocacy, service delivery, and publications. A previous foundation award to ARDP enabled investigative reports published by media and journalism grantees to be translated and amplified in local languages. And if you can recall, I told you ARDP is implementing in both Zamfara State and Borno on the project of anti-corruption and promotion of social accountability in northern Nigeria. I believe Prof is very armed with information that will give you a true picture of ARDP, while Tracker Development Foundation was founded in the year 2019 here in Zamfara State and has been championing zonal intervention project as well as tracking constituency project and issues surrounding budget cycle. And the Zamtracker has gained public recognition both here in Zamfara State, Nigeria at large, and as well as with the United Nations. Recently, the principal lead was invited and awarded by the United Nations at Mexico through the WSA award section. The principal lead of Tracker Development Foundation is Fawzuddin Mahmoud, seated close to Professor Kabiru Suleiman Safe, and I would like to also give him the honor to do the job when it is his turn to give us a true picture of what Tracker has been doing over the year. And I promise to play with the words by code switching along the line. Ita cibiyar ARDP cibiya ce wacce take fafutukar yaƙi da cin hanci da rashawa tare da zurfafa bincike domin ci gaban arewacin Najeriya, kuma ta yin wannan ayyuka a jihohi guda biyu tare da tallafin MacArthur. A yau muna wannan ɗakin taro da zumma nuna ko in ce commemorating wannan rana ta yaƙi da cin hanci da rashawa ta duniya wacce United Nations ta shar'anta tare da takwaranta a wajen ayyukan cigaban al'umma na wannan bangare, Tracker Development Foundation. Tracker Development Foundation wacce aka fi sani da suna Zamtracker kungiya ce wacce ta yi fice wajen tattauna abin da ya shafi kasafin kuɗi tare da kuma zakulo muhimman bayanai da ya shafi haƙoƙan al'umma su sani wanda ya shafi kasafin kuɗi. Wannan kungiya ta daɗe tana ayyukanta tun daga shekara ta 2019 da aka kirkire ta kawowa yanzu, a yayin da lokacin da take wannan ayyuka ta samu karbuwa a wajen mutan gari a nan jihar Zamfara, Najeriya, da ma abin da ya kai mataki na United Nations akan budget tracking da kuma constituency project. So wannan shine dan tsokaci dangane da abin da ya shafi wayannan kungiyoyi guda biyu na farar hula da muke tare da su a nan domin commemorating ita wannan rana kamar yadda aka gayyato mu. Akwai kungiyoyi wanda lokaci ba zai baya ba mu kira kowanne, kuma ina mai amfani da wannan dama mu sake ba manyan bakinmu da mahalarta wannan taro hakuri na farawa a makare. Ba daga mu bane, daga mahalarta taron ne ba su zo a lokacin da aka yi alkawalin za su zo ba, amma muna da wakilci na ƙungiyoyin kwadago NLC, akwai TUC, akwai NMA, akwai MBA, akwai NUJ da sauran ƙungiyoyi irin su NUT har zuwa ƙungiyoyin farar hula wato civil society organizations da faith-based organizations wato ƙungiyoyin addinin musulunci. Akwai chairman na Zamfara Cycle, akwai wakilci na Voluntary Aid Initiative, akwai ƙungiyoyi da dama wanda muna tare da su a wannan wajen. Zan dakata a wannan gaba domin in yi amfani da wannan dama mu fara a mataki na babban teburi, mu ba su dama domin su gabatar da kawunansu kamin mu shiga gadan-gadan ga jadawalin da ya tara mu a wannan waje.
Some of you have not. Some of you have attended a number of functions like this. Some perhaps are attending for the first time. Really, you do not know. Well, that is a dilemma for me. But despite or in spite of all this, I am not going to go back to narrate all that we have done. But I may just take maybe little minutes to give you the context of what we are doing. When you look at there, you see project on anti-corruption, provision, social accountability. You will also see supported by MacArthur. We have been here for the last, maybe this is the second stanza. Every stanza, we had three-year program. We had the one from 2017 to 2020. Now we're implementing 2021 to 2023. We are terminating 2023. Even if this project is going to continue, even if MacArthur insists that they still want to assist for the project to continue, I perhaps will not be part of it. Maybe at the end I will say, well, maybe others can join. And maybe I will narrate you why I am part of this project, or why this project started. I said it in a number of forums, but let me recap it. MacArthur has no business concerning itself with our problem. Do they have? No. This is our problem, not their problem. But of course, we know the way in which the international order operates. We have what we call donor partners. They engage nations. They engage international organizations, United Nations. They also participate in international conflict resolution. And in most cases, you know what we call corporate responsibility. Some of these foundations, they have what they call corporate responsibility. Some of them participate in addressing common diseases, pandemic, some child education, some culture, some security. There are so many of them. But MacArthur came into this, conceived into this in post-2015, when by then a new government, the first APC government led by Muhammad Buhari came into being. It made anti-corruption a very big issue. The government was here to fight I think maybe corruption was number one on the agenda. And then the issue of security, right? The anti-corruption. They believe every problem in Nigeria had to do with corruption. So in fact, we all know that. That's every time, even in 2018, anytime Buhari talks, if you ask him about his government, about his vision, about what he has done, the first thing he will be talking is about corruption. And the second thing will be about his security, how they have maybe liberated some local governments in Borno State. We all know this. This is it. So MacArthur, as a partner, as what we call a donor, they are concerned about all the affairs. They feel, maybe the only way we can assist Nigeria is, maybe can we just come in and assist you in fighting this corruption that they are so concerned about? And they created a project, what they call On Nigeria Project. On Nigeria Project is to get a coalition of actors who are going to help the government in exposing corruption, fighting corruption in all its ramifications, both legal, in operational, in even trying in mobilization, so many things. And then MacArthur, because it has regional office in Africa. In fact, the regional office now is in Nigeria. They started engaging NGOs, the CVOs, which is community-based organizations, and other institutions that are perhaps concerned with socio-political and economic dynamics, problems of Nigeria. That's how maybe ARDP came into being. Then they approached so many organizations to come with, can you write us something? This is what we want to do. Can you conceive a project, or how can you be part of this drive? Right now, as I'm talking, there are over 80 organizations that are working on this issue, including NLC, including MBA, including EFCC, including ICPC, including a number of research centers, Mumbai House Center for Democracy, including us, including Center for Democracy and Research. There are so many, about 80, including journalists, a group of journalists, including and so on. So it's a coalition that are trying to assist both the government and the society in fighting this menace of corruption. This is how we came into it. Unfortunately, maybe the one who is the Nigerian director, Dr. Kole Shetima, he is the director, African director of the MacArthur, happens to be maybe a colleague. He was my junior. He did his postgraduate program in Maiduguri, but he came to ABU for his postgraduate when I was also a lecturer there in Ahmadu University. So that knowledge, he knew a lot of people. Because we, in the early 70s, we have all been engaged in this struggle of how to make Nigeria much better, even as students. Of course, things have changed. Maybe if I can now recall what is happening there and what I can see now, the difference is like life and death to me. It's like life and death, you know? So this is how we came into this. When we started, the whole idea we came to here to is maybe we have what we call a group of journalists who are investigating corruption, exposing it, coming with ideas how to fight it. By then, initially, what we conceived was maybe to translate some of this, come to do some town hall meeting, you know, amplify this, so that we can now, you who are sitting here, we can now provoke you to see concretely the problems that are bedeviling your progress, so that it will spur you into action. What is that we can do to liberate ourselves? Or how is it that we can transform our society so that we can fare better? But in the process, we have been expanding. We went into analysis of budget, translating it, distributing it. Because why? The public finance of government. I hope you are hearing me even without this. The public finance of government is like the lifeline of public affairs. The budget is key to how the state is operating. What services is available to you? What is it that the state can offer? And these resources are not resources of people who are serving government. This is the common resources owned by all of us here. This is our money. That is why we thought that's going to be key. We have done so many things. But now, what I'm here is not to come, like I said, maybe all of you have done. We are now winding up. When we wind up, the whole idea of us trying to intervene maybe is to help, is also to provoke your thoughts, your action, so that you now wake up and see what is that we can do as citizens of Nigeria or as citizens of some national entities like Zamfara State to salvage our society and to make our society much better. That's just the crux of the matter. So in this particular meeting, you can see that we made conscious attempt to invite or to engage with very, what I regard as Zamfara, is within the context of Zamfara, 3 critical organizations. The NS, the TUC, and the NB. I don't know whether the NB is still. The chairman, the chairman needs to come here. Yes, the chairman of the NB needs to come here. I don't know whether you can get a see from the car. So my idea is that comfortable, sit down in the meeting. It's okay. So they are the key to law and order. You know? So, but you see, I just saying, maybe thinking, but while we were organizing this meeting, what I saw is that I do not even want to pretend that, oh, this is a meeting that we, the AID, or the ACA, who is maybe assisting this gathering. It's actually more. I mean, they didn't know. I mean, they didn't ask me to what I was doing. All they know that, oh, I am a Nigerian. I am a part of an NGO, or I superintend over an NGO that is so bad about making the Nigeria great. Go and what do you think is good for you? So when I engage Paul, what I said, Paul, this is maybe what is that we can do now in the last meeting to make sure that we now create a structure in which this maybe activities can be sustained. And after we are discussing, we come to the conclusion that, okay, first we need to engage critical, what I call major stakeholders on some of this. And I mentioned him, and I'm sure he has been discussing with him. Yes. And I asked him maybe once in years. So, my thinking is that I am not the one only inviting you. It's the collaboration of MBA, NLC, and the TUC, and perhaps maybe the RD organizing this. That's what. So, in fact, when the NBA was asking for letter, for me an application letter, you know, I was frustrated. I couldn't imagine why I was. Well, the NBC didn't ask me for letter because we had a free and online free of the summit discussion, which he took me to task, or he took us all of us to task, and he was very constructive in those suggestions and so on. So it was very fun. Very right, because largely and assuming he was not, or maybe he was not in the picture. I'm not sure that NB was not, because almost all our previous NBA was there. NBA had participated, but we never invited NS as an organizer. That was understand the use. But by then, I was one of the ones coordinating that. This is 11 people here, organized. Those that listen are actually engaged. But you know, it's normal. You perhaps, anytime you are involved in the social structure, it doesn't always mean that you are going to involve anybody who ought to know. No, it's normal. People's, I mean, these are what we call objective limitation of human beings. You just can't do, I never simply can't do everything is always necessary. But I the NBA example, I was better because I thought it doesn't need to ask me for invitation. I mean, for any formal letter. Of course, we wrote the letter. Yes. And he didn't even down the list until after I wrote the letter. And yes, but I came with the letter, the official letter, and I even came with I think he's bringing it to you so that we can be formal. But I just want to satisfy, I don't know why, maybe when he comes to the microphone, Maybe I don't know, maybe he wanted to press, but I will tell you why I said I do not think we needed that. This problem that we are trying as people, to me, I really don't think it's not really a tool, it's a tool what we call political package. I don't know how to say it now, but package political. It's not bureaucracy. It's not bureaucratic. This is concrete problem that we face. And all of us here, we can ask ourselves a question. None of us here, you can say, has a formal obligation to do what we do. MSC doesn't have formal obligation. Say formal, I mean formal. They have moral obligation, but they don't have formal obligation. I don't have. I come from Zamfara State. I was born here. I was born when there was no Zamfara State. I was even born when there was no Sokoto State. I was even born when there was no North State. I started my education in the northern region of Nigeria when there was no Sokoto State. I finished my first primary education when there was no Western State. In fact, Sokoto State was created when I was living secondary school. And Zamfara State was born in my hand.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, Zamfara State was born in my hand. So it's not. But all the same, I can say I don't have any formal obligation. But I have what we call moral, all of us here. When we fall that, maybe you can say, everybody can say, it's not my moral responsibility. But we are here willing. Because one, we have a moral responsibility to make our society better. Some of us have positions that entails some of this growth. Like me, we start with the AS. The AS is the father, is the mother, perhaps the grandfather and the grandmother of struggle in Nigeria, because they started in the colonial period, even before us. They were involved in the struggle for the liberation of Nigeria from the colonial yoke against the British domination. Of course, there is now a proliferation of organization. Now we have NGOs, we have CPOs, but then there was no. But most of them, even some organizations, maybe even us, when we started, we were just an umbrella. In fact, initially when we started, we were an umbrella of the NSC. I remember the first NSC president, Hassan Sumonu. I mean, the one I know.
It's a woman.
No, the one I know. Hassan Sumonu.
The original is a woman from Tinubu.
No, Hassan Sumonu is the one I know. After him. That is Hassan Sumonu, by then, even as a student, he comes to Zara Toronto most of. His twin brother, Hussein Sumonu, who resigned as city resident engineer, was very close to me. Because he was then also a very close friend of my teacher, who became the chairman of us, president of us in the 70s. So, this is, when I look at this back, I said, okay, now, perhaps, if we have to sustain some of this initiative, let's sit down together and see what is it that we can roll out. And it doesn't matter to consider success. The success is not just 8 words. Because we can ask ourselves now. Even if I ask myself, I have been doing this for the last, even in Zamfara, for the last 6 years. Look, ask this question. Has actually corruption reduced? You can ask yourself a question. I'm not sure I will say no. Well, I will say yes. Maybe I don't have the empirical data, but it's clear that perhaps maybe somebody can say, oh, this is we are doing. Is it actually yielding results? Or is it yielding results? But you can ask the question to so many. Like even the man, they are preaching, they can preach against all bad against this. But if they ask, if you ask, has all this stopped? It has not stopped. But then there's no fishing. We cannot stop. We don't have to stop. Maybe if somebody talked to you about this 20 years ago, are you not going to laugh and say this man is a madman? Things that you cannot even dream is happening. It's now what? It's the norm. So perhaps if I was discussing with somebody, if we do nothing about some of these things that we think are peculiar, maybe in the next, maybe one, I will say something now, maybe you look at me and maybe laugh. Maybe in the next few years, somebody will come to your house and take your wife, take your children and say, this is wife, children, and that's it.
It doesn't happen in Sunday, right?
It's happening now. Well, now what they are saying, well, they are maybe stealing, women, taking them to the bush. But somebody doesn't even need to go to the bush. He can even go to your house, near your house. Come to your house, take your wife away, and nothing happens.
What is happening in some places now?
Yes, it will happen. And then I was telling somebody, look, indeed, when I was just from Funtua, the only maybe I can say relatively maybe stress-free journey I had was from Kaduna to Funtua. It was stress-free. But from Funtua to Kusau, I was psychologically tortured. Psychologically tortured. Not only the roadblocks, because the roadblocks. In fact, at Lewa, I saw a checkpoint, some drones on the road. There are so drones on the road, you have to do some zigzagging to pass through. And then there were lines of cars behind me. I asked my driver, what are we doing here? He said, no, we have to be called. I said, called to what? We have to be called to pass. To pass, we are smooth. Maybe I was ignorant. You know, I came from this part of the country, but I will tell you. The last time I was in Soho was last year, December. Last year, December. Not because of the call, I was doing other things, and I don't have any cause to make me to come to this place. Even my mom believed. Because somebody even called me. They said, we don't see you say, but even if I come to Sabi now, what will I? Except that it's something too necessary. Maybe I come for condolence or I come for marriage. I don't have a father. I don't have a mother. I don't even have in-laws. Now I am the father. I don't have anybody to come and greet. I don't have any obligation to come to my place and greet anybody now. The people who are there are either my neighbors or my relatives, which means they are the ones to go to Kaduna and greet me. So I don't have any business unless it's necessary. And now also because of the technology, maybe I can call. But I have brothers, I have sisters, but I can. We talk almost every week. We can discuss. And when they are sick, then I have to come. Fortunately, for the last one, I don't know seriously for me. Justification maybe to come and see them. But let's just come up with a story. We were there just for a few minutes. I said, but just let's go. We went there, the military men were just there, they were not calling anybody. We just passed along. And we left people just were partying. People were afraid. Some of them were afraid. Maybe if they come, some of these soldiers will ask them, who asked them to come out of the car, park here. Yes. Go and kneel down there. Do some rock job. So there I passed out to the south. There are roadblocks. I saw with my naked eyes, not police, military men taking money and even giving change. Yes. It's food. No, but I saw it yesterday. Not that. I remember I saw it yesterday, giving change. Somebody gave 100 naira, I was giving him 50 naira. With an army uniform. I mean, I have been seeing this years back from the police, but certainly not from the army. Now, my worry, when I passed through, I know I was telling to this program. Oh, we are going to talk about corruption here. My worry that we are seeing this on the road. Yes. Now it has become internalized. Nothing wrong. We don't see anything wrong. And people are passing there. Some of them that are passing there are ministers, our commissioners, our executive, and maybe even the chairman of the AD, and even the chairman of the NS, we are all persons that way. And actually, what we are saying that we are now helpless. We are all helpless. That's what we are saying. We are helpless to address this issue which ordinarily ought not to have happened. And I can ask this question: can we stop this? And I can stop it. I alone cannot stop it. Maybe chairman of the NSC cannot stop it. Maybe chairman of the as a person perhaps. But if we come together, we can't stop this. We can't. And if you as an organization will talk more of us, we can stop it. Yes. And the data is in we will not stop this. This is going to be part of what our society is going to accumulate as a normal culture in the society. It is already so. So and this is a bit there are maybe you can spend hours and hours and hours on this program. So that's why I said my concern is what do we do after this? What do we do here? Why I bring this issue is that there are certain basic issues, basic things that we can even organize ourselves. Yeah. Because I believe we here in Zamfara, if now we can sit down and then maybe we don't have to, let's say 5 days approach to the problem. We have to sit down and discuss why is it being done? What is the best way to engage with the world? I think there are some commanders here called. There is government here. You can engage them. Maybe my government, please, why do you have this roadblocks in the Manali Act? I'm not against roadblocks. You can have roadblocks. You can have military post station, but they don't have trainings on the road. They can be there guarding the road, making sure there is a free passage, and then providing a security to the citizens. And whenever there is a credible intelligence that something is going to pass, then they can mount something there, which is usually somewhere. And in society, in democratic society, go to UK, go to London, go to anywhere, go to South Africa, go to even Kenya, go to even Rwanda now, as I'm told. When they have a problem, the police come from don't be place, but not more than 6 hours. One time they will see a red tape. But after solving the problem, it will pass. In London, can be more than an hour. There is a crime. They will now see the crime, the scene of the crime. They will operate there for an hour, collect all the evidences, they will be one, and then they will pass it. But now here, look at even the roads there. They have become tattered, destroyed. Because and it's almost like what you have done. You have garrison civil society, even in military army. That's not allowed. But me and you all know this security, and all of you know here, this security has become a business. The security in Nigeria has become a big business. Not only a business, the danger now it has created what we call chains, bad chains. Bad chains, they are assuming now on the chain. Breaking it is not easy. But watching it and doing nothing is going to be suicide for all of us. Very soon we won't have a human society. There will be no law and order. And this is going to destroy everything. The way the system is working in Nigeria today is going to destroy even humanity. We are already on that. We are already on that. Are we not on the way? Every institution in Nigeria now has been affected. I'm sure you believe that you share. I mean, I was telling to somebody that the judiciary is now becoming worse than the police. Because people have lost election, but they'll tell you, I'm not going to court. I'm not going to court. I'm sure you read it on the papers, isn't it? Not Malay, not Dino. You can say Dino Malay is an actor. But I'm sure there are so many of them who are not going to court. They are not going to court because they do not trust. They do not even believe they will get justice. I remember in the 80s, in the 70s, even under military regimes, the only institution that you clearly respect is the judiciary. The military can tamper with so many things, you can do so many things, but when you go to the court, you know, you get this. So, but it's not just the judiciary. I'm not blaming just the judiciary. The system is the system that is for the judiciary. It's not just that it's for yourself. Of course, we expect the judiciary to be above the law. Because why? Because even when the judiciary, when you say my lord, my lordship, what we simply do in essence is that that man is not a human being. I don't know how to say it in English. But let me just turn into house now. You know, a yanayin tsarin na addini kamar malam kuna cewa ai na ganin waliyantaka da ai da ubangiji kamar kashi. Akwai waliyantaka wanda Allah za a ce wannan yana kusa da ubangiji saboda abin da yake na addini tsakanin shi da ubangiji. Wanda ba ba san su ba. Wanda su haka za su mutu ana cewa waliyan Allah. Wanda ke akwai mutum da ce musu masu san ko me yake kwasa wali ba. Amma dai wali abin da ya ɗaukar sani zaɓaɓɓen mutum wanda ke kusa da ubangiji saboda kare haƙoƙin ubangiji da mutum da yake ubangiji. Abin da kowa san akwai ko da attributes na wali wanda suna kadama shi ya suka kadama. Amma dai ni na san a rayuwa kai ka san akwai mutumin da kai ko ba sani ka san shi ko ba san shi ka ji tarihin shi ka san mutumin nan da bayan yake tsari shi da mutane. Ko ba akwai wani ba don kuɗi ba ne ba don mulki ba ne ta rayuwa ilimi da kuma kusantar ubangiji. Kuma akwai su a tarihi wanda suke abubuwa wanda kai ka san ka ce mutum ordinary mutum da irin ka wanda zai ta sharhole shi a duniya na san yau. To ban da shi tun da mulki na rayuwa na duniya akwai abin da ubangiji kare ke yi shi amma ba bi ganin ubangiji. Ai justice shari'a ka ce wannan ya yi laifi a kashe shi wannan iko ne kawai amma ba bi ganin ubangiji. To kaga sai an yi waliyi na zahiri. Menene waliyi na zahiri? Sai an yi shugaba wanda shi ne zai ba da wannan umarni. To banda shi yanzu a ce ko ba ko ko sai yana da iko ya ce sai an ce sai ya sa ai akwai alƙali ko to za tsarin turawa ai wannan lordship din da ake cewa lordship ai riga ce ta ubangiji da shi ko ka wasu akwai aiki wanda ya shi riga ubangiji ne za shi ka san ai to sannan su lauyoyi masu sa wannan wig din simple su aika wa da ilimi ne su wanda su ne za su kawo mai laifi su kai shi ga ubangiji ko kuma in bawan Allah ne wanda ya yi laifi su roƙan mashi sauƙi ga ubangiji ba shi da kuke so kun kaje dai alƙali da mutane alƙali ne dai da mutane wanda su ce gashi laifin da kai wanda su ne cewa a yi maka sauƙi. To kaga wannan ai ba karamin girma bane wanda duk Allah na sha gama student ina. Why I said this because I was involved in teaching those students in the university. I have an AD from 87. Whoever graduated in Ahmad University from 87, 88 academic session wouldn't have graduated if he had not passed my board. That's the foundation of African history and introduction to African history. Because I was the one who was teaching that course. I created that course, but then I was a junior lecturer. I created with the essences of maybe some we had a team. But actually I was the one who was teaching. I was teaching the historical content. And I remember Len is now there. Mahmoud, Joseph Mahmoud from Plato. Was then in archaeology. He was teaching that. So why were we teaching them history? Because it was called, even now, even it is called. Your class is called, you'll be able to get it. Because if you are going to study law, you have to understand the context in the society in which you operate. That's what you can understand. That's how you can dispense justice. But let us not even go into all this storytelling. The main context is that we can see practically now that we have problems, we have challenges, that some of the challenges we can influence to get to that. Of course, we don't have it. But some of them that we can even solve. At least we can do something more gigantic to address. And we can see the solution if we are really concerned and if we take the right steps to address them. To me, I don't want to talk too much so that we don't lose track of what I'm saying. A lot of it is history and maybe storytelling and so on. So that is the essence why we have all of us. That is why I said a lot of what discussion here is going to mean something like executive discussion. Let us examine. Despite that maybe I'm older. I can be older, I'm not sure, maybe I'm older than many of you. So many of you are just at the age of my children. Maybe because why? Maybe because I was born earlier and I schooled earlier. Maybe by the time I finished my struggle for certification, I finished my PhD in 1992. I'm sure in 1992, many of you are not in the university. But then I've already finished. I don't have anything to do with going into a class, formal class to teach. Even though things have changed. Things have changed now. Because I remember in my own time, even when you come to ABU to study masters, nobody's going to teach you. Masters, nobody's going to teach you. As when you finish undergraduate, that's the last time you are going to sit down in a class and be facing a teacher. Because when you come to a master's, by the time you come as a master's student, you come with a proposal. And then your proposal will determine who is going to supervise you. And then the head, because you don't even apply first. First you have to go and see the head of department. You discover, what are you going to come? I'm going to do a master's degree. Then what do you want to do research on? Because first degree is an international degree. If you have a first degree, you don't need to do anything. You only do a master's if you want to teach or you want to do further research. Now things have changed. You're looking for a job, you have to have a master's or you have to have a PhD. And I get to wonder, why do you need a PhD? Why do you need a master's if you are not going to be a teacher? Because if you have a first degree, that's the end of it. The end of it. But now, even I, the last before I retired from ABU, 2018, I was even teaching PhD students, sitting in a class. Because now the NUC had come with a new system that even PhD students have to take what you call course. I was against it. Maybe I was a minority. I didn't believe anybody coming to do a PhD doesn't need to sit down. Because when you are a master's student, in fact you are supposed to be engaged. When I went able to do my master's program, what we had was only maybe a teacher who is going to supervise maybe what you call seminar, postgraduate seminar. She's not going to teach you anything. What we do, everybody will come, will have a topic, everybody will come to a program, you make presentations, and you will only comment. Through the comment of your peers is where you make it, is where you learn. So, but things are changing. I'm not whether we know what why I'm bringing this one. Things have changed, and we have to operate within the context of this change. But then we must be aware that unless we here do something about some of these problems are not going to go away. And you know, they are going to, what will do? They will change. You know what we call it change, I don't know in chemistry, but in social sciences, we say you that continue to exist in society 3 years and has not changed. It has become an imprint in that society. Because the oldest person and the youngest person, that's the only thing they know. Whatever you talk about is something else. Why are you coming from? Are you coming from the moon? They think you are coming from the moon when you talk about something. Because they don't know you. You know, I remember, even my class, I was telling them about what's happening in ABU. But because it is new, they were not even part, they have not even known it in life. To them, it's something like a fairy tale. You know what you call fairy tale, that's because Because I'll tell you, when we're in the university, I mean, some of the cafeteria we have, you can equate it to any five-star hotel. When we're undergraduate, I remember when we were undergraduate, do you know what we pay for breakfast? 10 kobo. 10 kobo, we paid 10 kobo in 78 academic session. We are paying 77, 10 kobo for breakfast. And in that breakfast, you can have everything. Omelette, you have potatoes, you have yam, you have chicken, you have everything. You have kidney sauce, you have all these things. If you can't afford 10 kobo, at the tail end of the kitchen, there is bread. There is this big glass, and there is sugar. There is milk. You can go and take this milk if you want. You can pack as many as you want and go away without paying the bill. You can take tea, you can take water, you can take milk with nothing. So the temple you are paying, if you want what you call add on. If you want omelette, you want chicken or what. In the lunch, 20 kobo. Maybe in the dinner, 20 kobo. I remember in 78, 79, when it was increased to 20 kobo breakfast, 25 kobo, we went on strike. And that was the time Ali must go. That you have the Ali must go. Eventually, by the time I graduated, it was 50 kobo. 50 kobo. But when you are talking, students begin asking, somebody was asking me, sir, where did you school? I said, here I was an AV. But you see, something is happening. But why we had this? It's because we had leaders. And even the students, the psychology of the student then is no longer the same like now. Because we were trekking from Zaria to Kaduna to go and demonstrate against an international police. To go and ban American flag in the American consulate, by the American consulate. Go against whatever hiding. No, it doesn't happen. The students doesn't happen. So the danger is that because that culture of struggle is no longer there. Because now the children don't know government. The only government is their parents. There's no government. People, we are just talking about patriotism. Nothing. There's nothing patriotism now. People are in government, everybody crying for his children. And even when they're in government, the people they recycle are their children, their in-laws. It's not correct. This is what physically you see. So it has become, in fact, when you are there, it's what, just recently, maybe you read on the news, you have a president, the president was shouting, was even giving an order. Why was his son coming to the Federal Executive Council? That he will give an order that his son should never be seen there. And I was worried. I say this country has gone bananas. Because the issue is not even the president. He was now looking as if people Nigerians should clap for him. That he said his son should not even come to the Federal Executive. He saw him attending a Federal Executive Council meeting. He attended once, he attended twice. I think it's the third meeting. When he saw him, he was giving orders that his son should not be allowed. But that's even the issue. The issue he should have, Nigerians should have asked him, what was his son doing? Even in the villa. But now, if I say this man, some of you will be beginning to say, why are you saying this? I think it is a norm. It's normal. It's even normal for a son, a president to be in the villa. If it's maybe underage, he can be in the villa. If he's smart, it's grown up, he should be somewhere else. He doesn't have to be in the villa. But now, it's because what is happening now is enough. Now we don't even Nigerians don't even bother. And the president, this president means business. He has chased his son away. Like he's chasing away his son from the villa or from the President Executive Council meeting is such a gigantic patriotic act. And which he had a question to answer. For even allowing why should even the son have the mentality that he can even attend the Executive Council? I mean, to me, that's the word. That a son of the president should even have the courage. And people there in the council are sitting down watching him and do nothing. And you have secretary to the government, you have chief of staff, you have people advising the president, and they saw him, nobody advised the president, nobody even chased the boy out. We have accumulated that what the boy did is not so wrong. And what I'm telling you is not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Like I give you an example, I studied maybe in the 70s, a governor, military institution, not democracy, a governor in the government house cannot spend anything as a governor for his own welfare. It's the PPS who will determine what his office wants, the budget, and that's what he wants. You know, we talk about Sardauna here. You have never, people don't even know, people who see Sardauna now, they know they are alive. I'm not sure how many of us here have seen Sardauna. Either I when I was a kid. But I had opportunity, because I studied in EDU, I was a director of Ivy House for 2 terms. And when I was a director, I went through most of the files of Sardauna. I saw how he was militant, and some of the publications from ARDP. We have even interviewed people who had stayed with Sardauna, and so on and so forth. But his name has not gone away. Why? It's because they lead and they hold public affairs the way it should be done. And you say these people like you say Sardauna and so on. Not only Sardauna, even people who are working with Sardauna, they made Sardauna what Sardauna was. Because they were all of them, if Sardauna is going to do something they believe is wrong, they will tell you. And when I saw a budget, if you go to your house now, every time there is a budget, northern region budget, northern region. You know tea, this tea people take in a meeting, even the cups of tea that are going to be consumed for a year has been calculated. Tea, this tea cup tea that you eat, you drink, is calculated. And at the end of every year, you go and see the budget, 52, 53, 54, 56. If you go there, see the budget, it's a very book. The budget and the return, you can see every year, Northern Region government declares surplus from their last year's budget. And the Northern Region government had also investment in other countries, money. And even so, the NS, Native Authority, can even draw the regional government money to do something. I remember I was so where Kano NE was even borrowed and even loan was 30,000 pounds to do something. Because those who are operating this public finance, they lead by the ethics. And it was not, well, we don't have all these NGOs, we don't have all this. But ethics. So what we can learn is that unless, and that's why we got educated, and that's why everything was working. Schools were working, secondary schools were working, and so on and so forth. I used to say, I had been trained as a teacher. I wanted to be a teacher because I thought I had an obligation to teach. When I served as a minister, I left government. Even my children were fairly young. When they grew up, but then they were coming to the university, I went back to the university. Some of them who are elders, they asked me, Dad, why are you going back to the university? See, what do you want to do? Just thought I should be, how should I not be engaged? Maybe they know I was in Oxford, and the distinction of Oxford. Maybe you go to Oxford, or you just take an appointment. I say, I have an obligation. Maybe me and you were different. I have an obligation. I am the government. For you, you don't know anything. We were paid to get educated. We were paid to get educated. And why we are paid to get educated is because we have responsible leadership. Now, some of our generation, and some of the governors may be our generation, some of them are just our juniors. But I believe there were some of them. There was a time we made in coming, some of them that were my men. I challenged them. I say, most of us here, most of you who are sitting on the table here, you know that we are paid to get educated. So we have become a first generation because we couldn't even maintain what produced us. We couldn't maintain. Now it's not there. Now we are thinking it's because there is no responsible public system. Our job here, we may not create Nigeria about 70s. We may not create Nigeria about 80s as I'm talking. But even within the context of 2020s, we can make Nigeria, or we can make our society operate within the norms of the system we say we are operating. We say we are operating democracy. Oh? And to me, dividend of democracy is not to build Rome. It's not even to build parks. It's not even to provide electricity. That's not dividend of democracy. The dividend of democracy is democracy itself. It's your right to change your leader on your own time, not on his own time, because you elected me. If you surrender this, then there's no democracy. If the leader, and this is what's happening now, you have a president. Everybody thinks whoever wants to become the president of the Senate must be the one that will be anointed by the president. And we claim we are doing it. That's no democracy. Because even the question of separation of power has been defeated. Because the president has nothing to do with the National Assembly. These are people who are going to check the president, the access of the president. But then, now everybody is assuming, after reading the newspaper before the march of the displaced president, the news is that, Opabio is the darling of the president. Opabio has gone to meet the Emir Oba of Benin. He has gone to meet the Alapin of Oyo. He is buying Abuna. He has a close meeting with Tinubu. And so on and so forth. And if we surrender most of these things, that we do not check this system, we are only pretending that we are operating democracy. If we run this subnational state here, we have government where the governor is perhaps the law. He does anything. Public funds are spent. You don't contribute. You don't check. You don't ask questions. You don't make sure things are. You don't put them on their toes. Then you are not running a government. And it becomes an issue. And it becomes, you now accumulate this and it becomes internalized. The whole essence of our country is that I am not saying anything out of order. I am not the one who preached for democracy. I think that we are going to democracy. The only thing I can say, I was a member of the National Constitutional Conference who drafted this 1999 Constitution. And it also happened that I was a member of the government that promulgated that constitution and appointed maybe Kau's committee, who now look at the committee, Justice Kau committee, and then come out with the machine, which was eventually also a little bit modified by Abdulsalam after the death of Abacha. And then this was maybe despite the whole argument come. But then it was the aggregation of the aspirations of Nigeria to have this system. So this is what? This is our project. This is not me. This is collectively. And I was telling Paul, I said, for me, now maybe you can say by age factor, I may be alive, maybe I don't know. It's just one leg here, one leg in my grave. Then those of us who are over 60 years now, by the grace of God, in the next few months, I will be 66 years old. They are already 65 plus. And when our Holy Prophet said, when you first ask about life, what did he say? He said, so it's 60 or 70. So anybody who are in between, the idea is that even if you are alive, the life is of no consequence to me. It's of little importance. Now, so many foods. Maybe because I was live yesterday when I called the woman here, I told her I don't eat this one, I don't eat this one. Things that I was eating before, I don't eat them now. Not because I don't have diabetes. But the same, that there are things that by at 38, even have 1/4 of a chicken now, I can't eat it. So life, what I was telling that what remains now is an overtime. So by implication, those of you sitting here, it is your country. It is your time to make things work. And don't even underestimate your number. Don't ever underestimate. It's what you try to do every time can make the little you offer you will not know the type of charge it will respond. That is the essence. I think I have said enough. That is the whole essence of this. The whole essence of this. Maybe the next we are going to come is maybe we will listen to I'm driving you a lesson. I'm driving those ones. I'm driving you into what? Into now thinking about something. I have not mentioned all the problems. I've just given a personal example, but there are so many things that we can't even have time to talk about them. But then we have them. Even if we don't have problems, like the Chinese will say, there is always a danger in success. Even when you succeed, you have a problem of what? Maintaining the success and improving on the success. But have we been succeeding? We have not been succeeding. In fact, Nigeria has been retrogressing. We have been retrogressing. That's the idea. That's the danger now. We have lost control of even the fabric, the norms of the fabric of the society. We have been losing touch of it. In fact, it's just like we have to bring ourselves to normal. We are already not in normal condition. We don't have normal security, do we? In Sokoto, when I was coming, I remember in the 80s, when I'm coming from Sokoto, when we are coming to Busau, with my friend, we will leave Sokoto around 3 a.m. At times it will rain on the road. We will park on the road. We will sleep and then continue our journey. Yeah. From here to Busau, we'll go and watch Green Eagles Lagos. We start here, we go to Surulere, we can park our car, we watch Nigeria play match, and then we come back. And then in the night. That's the Nigeria. Now, here from Busau, my family, when I said I'm finishing my function on Sunday, and maybe I will have to, maybe I can come on Sunday. Please don't come. Please, if you have any time after 2 o'clock, please just come on Monday. And so a few years back, I will leave my village usually in most cases 7 p.m. Just 1994, when I was a member of Christian Conference, I was living in Kaduna. We start preliminary session 9 and 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, and I leave home. Usually, no, we start 9. I leave 7 o'clock. From Sambo Cross. My house was in Sambo Cross, just closer to the first Gammas Road. It was on Sambo Road. My house was just where we have the TV. But then I was carrying it to the National Commission for Museum. I was here at the Kaduna National Museum. I was there. That's where I was living. 2 hours. From there to Abuja will take me 2 hours. 9 o'clock a.m. I will be in the hall. And we finish plenary session 5 p.m. 5 p.m. After the plenary session, we'll come back to the lobby and take tea. We'll argue with friends and we discuss. I will live there at 9, 7. And I'll come back to Kaduna 9 and watch network news. Now this is no longer accessible. Then what are we? Then on minerals. No, was Ike. Something he gave me his card. It's something Ike. It must be an Igbo. He's a Nigerian in Atlanta. Go to UK, go to anywhere, you see them. In terms of human resources, say this loudly, no country on earth can say Nigeria is nothing in terms of human resources. But we are all here. We are being slaughtered like lambs. You can't get out of your house after a certain hour. You can't even be on the road. And we sit down and we are contented, and that's enough. I'll give you the last example. When I was a minister for petroleum, I went to Iran because the Iranian ambassador maybe invited me. Let's go and see how can we work together. I took a team from the NNPC, including the managing director, some of the executive director, and I went there. In fact, I had even the opportunity to meet Rafsanjani, because I remember he refused to see a lot of other Nigerian ministers. While he saw me, I can sing. He didn't tell me. is because I was coming from the academia. They don't joke with information. He knew that I was not maybe a typical civil servant or an administrator, so I was an academician. I came into the system from the university. So he agreed to see me. In fact, that was even the time as I led the Nigerian delegation to even lobby for a long one when he was going with Secretary General of the OPEC. And I was also one who went to Sanctum, Iran, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. I went there. Even when this king was even a small one there. I mean, not the king, the MBS. So, but I'm just giving you what I found. Later on, when I went there, I saw them because they were under sanction from America and so on and so forth. I went to Bandar Abbas. Bandar Abbas is a town they were building. And then, in 1992, the largest refinery in the world. The largest refinery in the world. And do you know one thing? From the detailed engineering, conception, how to conceive a refinery, how to build it, everything connected with that refinery, it was done by the Iranians alone. And let me tell you one thing. I don't know whether you have engineers, plant engineers here, who engineers. As far as I know, in 1990s, there was no country in the world that had done monopoly. Because if you go to refinery, there are going to be so many sections. Some of the sections, there are certain countries that are maybe better to handle that. Maybe go to Commemorating refinery, you can say, oh, there is EFC, there is a catalyst crackers unit, there is what you call plant unit, there is bitumen unit, there CDD, there is CRE. They have so many plants, they have so many components that no country specializes in all the components. Why did they do that? Maybe Iran. I asked him. They said, well, they did that because when the Americans left after the revolution, 1979, Americans said they flew out of Iran. I said, well, these guys are dead. After driving Shah, we'll see how they survive. And he told me, Rafsanjani himself told me, that by then he was not the president. He was just one of the people closer to Ayatollah Khomeini. They went and said, Imam. And then, they went into work with Iran. When they left, they were operating some of the refinery. And when they were fighting the Iraq, they were fighting with Iran. America actually instigated Iraq to fight Iran. The West, I can say, not necessarily America. And they bombed the only existing refinery, or the operating refinery. And they had no refinery. So they went to Imam and said, they said to Imam, this is what has happened. And he told me, carefully I can remember, he said, Imam, Khomeini, look at them. He always sits on the floor, on his mat, and they were sitting around him. When they narrated the story to him, this was happened to the refinery, and then we don't know what to do. Imam just didn't say a word. For 10 minutes, Khomeini didn't say anything to them. So they were all worried. And then when he raised his head, he said, Alhamdulillah. They are even worried. They are bringing him a bad news, right? Is it not a bad news? You are at the state of war. You have one refinery, and it has been bombed, which is you have nothing to pray. And you tell Imam, and the spiritual leader of the country, and he said Alhamdulillah. You know, when somebody said Alhamdulillah, what is the sacrifice? That a good thing has happened, right? Alhamdulillah, we are happy. He said Alhamdulillah. And they became more shocked. And they didn't say a word. And after some few minutes, then he said, well, Alhamdulillah, again, and he said the Sultan, Alhamdulillah, it is now that you have nothing. Go and face your God and do the best you can do. And if you do that, you get out of your challenge. And they said, he told me, the time they left Khomeini, they don't even know what to do. But the issue, they can't argue with Khomeini, they can't even say anything, they just went out. When they went out and informed the committee, the technical committee, what do you say? And they just went to the refinery. They look at this map, look at this note, look at this one. They started just working. It's just like somebody you have a scattered field. They started building that. And over time, they brought that refinery to life. What he told me that that act of salvaging that refinery is what taught them how to build their own refinery. That's how they were able to build. At that time, the Bandar Abbas refinery was the largest in the world, and they operated. And by the time we went there, it was finished. To cut the story short, after my visit Iran, we came back to Nigeria, and then I asked the NAPC, do some collaboration with them so that they can come to Nigeria and teach you some of the things. And they came to Nigeria. When they came to Nigeria, they engaged Nigerians. You know, I just want to have one. You know, they come again. When we had an executive session with the Iranian, the leader told me, look, we are not going to come back again. He said, I told him why. He said, these were engineers. There is nothing that they can't do. We have never met people who are knowledgeable, who know exactly the job, like these guys. Just make them do the job. I was never in doubt. I was never in doubt of the capacity of Nigerians. I'll just give you an example. Nigerians have the capacity to do everything. The Nigerians are all over the world. And they're excelling. And we Nigerians here, we are here. You know, virtually now, we are just going to Ghana. And we are the largest, I would not the largest of Africa. And we do nothing. And the same thing maybe you can take Zamfara. I can take Zamfara State before it was creation along other states. I can do the agreement. Maybe you can take ours here, I can take it. Because like I said, Zamfara State was born on my hand. Why I said this? Because the movement, I was a member, I was the chairman of the movement, I was the one practically leading the movement for education of Zamfara State. Because I was then representing this part of Nigeria, this part of the Sokoto State in the Constitutional Conference. I was a member of the committee, I was a member of the government that does it. So I knew, and I was engaged in getting all the facts, all the information about Zamfara. And I said this many times in the forum. By the time before Zamfara was created, when we had 30 states, Zamfara, and in this area we call Zamfara, had more resources, both material, both human, than half of the states that were existent in Nigeria. But now, if you look at now, in the profile of the states, 36 states in Nigeria, what do you find the president? Are we in the middle? But actually, we are only struggling for the bottom. What we are knowing. And perhaps some message come. Even the way that is the way Zamfara we are. Before the creation of Zamfara, Sokoto didn't want the creation of Zamfara State. Because they saw if Zamfara was created, Sokoto will be a barren state. Are they barren now? No. I'm not even sure we are competing with Sokoto. But this was what? But this was when? This was the economic engine of the Sokoto State. In fact, the Northwest. In the 63, in the economic profile of northern Nigeria, Gusau here, Gusau, this axis, Gusau, Kaura, Namoda, what they call Zamfara, was the 6th. In the entire north, number 6. Maybe NBA, the NSC, or share this one. The profile of northern. So we are number 6. How can we degenerate into this? So it's better to tell ourselves the whole truth. We have the capacity to address all this problem. And we are also in the position. Some of us now, we are in the position, we are now leading the group of people with these resources to do it. So let's sit down, come together, and see what we can do, and offer the little that we can in our lifetime. You know? I don't know how many of you read Praspano in the university. The Nature of the Earth. No? Yeah. I remember when he came to the university, there are 2 books that most of us who want to read social science, including Love, will read Walter Rodney, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, and the Nature of the Earth. She was talking about maybe the resources of Africa or the Third World, and how we can benefit ourselves. And I remember that this quotation from Praspano. He said, every generation has a mission to fulfill. And look at our generation. And it's talking about the problem. Every generation has a mission to fulfill. Either to do it or to betray. So I hope this generation, you will not betray your mission. Because your mission is the problem you found yourself and have the capacity to solve, and you just watch them and do nothing about it. Because in most cases in society, when you have a problem, even when you are trying to solve the problem and you have not succeeded in solving all the problems, doing nothing is not an option. So thank you very much.
We are enough to share with us, but due to time factor, I believe we have said enough for the wise and for the true citizens of the state to ponder on. I was part of some participant of one of his programs under EIDB Al-Kaduna. I can recall when it was a 4 days interactive session with Zamfara State lawmakers, and there was this initiative of engaging them as lawmakers to understand the budget cycle and to do the needful for the good, for the interest of Zamfara State citizens. 60-40, 60 for the governance and 40% for the populace. But believe you me, our lawmakers were not in conformity with that strategy. In fact, somebody stood up and said Prof was like instigating lawmakers to be dragging between the legislative and the executive arm of the government. He was saying when the two elephants engage in fighting, who suffers, we answer the grass suffers. Then Prof stood up and said, okay, when the lawmakers and the executive aspect of the government are in romance, then what happens? Who will suffer? Still the citizens are going to suffer. Malian is there, he said in Zamfara State, duk wanda yake da ɗaya goma kuma private school suka yi, ya ce to makin cin hanci da rashawa har yanzu wannan abu is inbuilt in me. So why I'm bringing this is just to tell us that it is the right time for us to wake up from slumber mood and do the needful for ourselves. But corruption is deep rooted in our hearts. Sai dai kawai irin abin da a ce iya imanin kai iya irin abin da za ka yi ko ba gaskiya ba. To Allah ya tsare mu kuma Allah ya ba mu ikon yin abin da ya kamata domin ci gaban jihar. Prof was a one-time minister during the Abbas's regime, and he doubles as 2 times director of your house and currently the director of implementation at research and development project. And I'm using this medium to tell you that we are sorry. We ought to have break out for a break session, but due to we starting an hour late leader schedule, we have to carry over that, and along the line, I think people will be going back to use themselves to pick up water or anything they feel like we can provide by the LSC of the program. At the main, even though we're having a power problem, as announced by the reception, they're having some kind of electrical challenges, even though they are using generator, but there was a kind of fire spark within the facility. So please let us bear with the situation while we forge ahead for the business of the day. Permit me to please quickly, within your time, to invite the principal lead of Tracker Development Foundation, in person of Mozuddin Mahmoud, the principal lead of Zamfara that is publicly known, to give us an insight of what he has been tasked to do by Prof. For the tracker, and there was once upon a time his dad says he should come and take over with FMC at the FMC lab, where he said no, he doesn't want anything that would distract him. Microbiology is my profession, but he has chosen to be into the aspect of budget cycle, transparency and accountability in the tracking program. Please let's appreciate it.
You are energizing me quite profoundly. Without further ado, I think enough has been said. I've prepared a slide that I would have wanted to share with you, but due to the power issue, I think I'll just go ahead and briefly present. So what I have on the menu is fiscal probity and prudence for economic prosperity in Zamfara State. I chose this particular topic before I go further. What is fiscal probity and prudence? So fiscal probity and prudence refers to the moral, ethical, and judicious utilization of resources for the good of the people. And why I chose this particular topic is because, we've not really had it going quite well for our state. I believe that a lot of things that we're doing that are quite okay, and these things need to be discussed at avenues like this. And that is why this topic is particularly important to me. As you all know, all government agencies, ministries, departments, and whatever, as they run, they incur expenditure, right? So now, it is how these expenditures are carved out, how these expenditures are made in the most judicious way that will give room for economic growth and development. So now, we are 27 years old, or thereabout. But in 27 years, what do we have to show as a scorecard? All the metrics, the statistics point southwards. If you look at the recent report by One Africa published last year on primary healthcare service delivery in the country, Zamfara State ranked 36 in the country. In the lecturer journal there, but it's not really my calling. I believe this is my purpose, and that is why we are here doing this today, tomorrow, and next tomorrow. So now, back to the topic, fiscal probity. It also takes into cognizance the issue of revenue generation, not just expenditure. Okay, how do you improve revenues? And how do you make judicious utilization of those revenues? In Zamfara State, starting with the IGR, we all know that we have 4 basic components for revenue generation. We have the internally generated revenue. We have the federal allocation that consists of the oil revenue as well as the VAT, value-added tax that the federal government collects on behalf of the states. We also have the grants that we get from development agencies as well as loans. But then, if you look at the IGR specifically, why we are reckless with the economic system in Zamfara State, if you look at the IGR, we've not been able to attain some appreciable level of fiscal sustainability. Because according to data that I currently have, in 2022, our IGR contributed a measly 7.4% to the total revenue that we collected last year. So that means that this indicates that we are much more prone to not fiscal or economic stress, but fiscal or economic shocks. Because if you rely on over 90% on external revenues, so that means that the little decline or dwindling of those resources, those external resources, that means it will handicap your internal affairs. Now, take for example, the federal government should say, okay, we no longer have responsibility to give you federal allocation as we used to. So maybe that's let's say 20% or 30% cut. So now, how will the first state manage this particular fiscal shock? States like Kaduna, states like Rivers, states like Kano, they are all trying to up their revenues so that they can attain some level of fiscal sustainability. So that even without external resources, we can be able to fulfill. Then going into the next component, I will not waste much time, the expenditure component. A lot of people talk about Zamfara State has a revenue problem. And whenever I'm confronted with that discourse, I try as much as possible to redirect perspectives towards the expenditure component. I believe we have an expenditure problem. Because, okay, now, if you have 100 naira, for example, and then you have an expenditure of 200 naira, so that means you need 200 naira to augment that expenditure bill. So if I'm to lend you 200 naira, I'll first ask you, okay, your 100 naira, how did you utilize it? So now the 100 naira that we are complaining that is too little for us to maximize, we're not using it how we're supposed to use it. So this is an indicator that whatever external support that we get, we are still prone to not utilizing it the best way possible. So I've made some analysis. As you all know, the state runs on 4 basic expenditure components. You spend on salaries, you spend on overheads, running of offices as well, recurring expenses of offices, you spend on capital expenses, as well as debt servicing. These are the 4 major expenditure components. So now if you break them down, the cumulative expenditure that we have made in the last 5 years, starting from 2018, 19, 20, 21, and 22, we have spent in total 481 billion naira in total, but only 28% of this value, or 135 billion, went into capital expenses. So we spent almost 72% of what we had spent the last 5 years on recurrent expenses. We are not investing in areas that are economically viable, areas that will improve human capacity, and areas that will change our socioeconomic profile for the better. Imagine you spending just 28% on areas that you need to change your economic outcomes. That is telling you that we are not channeling resources where they need to be channeled. We are mostly concerned on sustaining the mechanisms of running a government, paying salaries, welfareism, doing overheads, and that's it. Please permit me to just share a little bit of what I have on this plan. So if you look at this particular chart, the blue bars represent the external revenue. So the blue bars here represent the external revenues that we've collected as a state in these particular years, from 2018 to 2022. While these yellow part of the bar are indicating the little IGR, our IGR has contributed to the total revenue. So if you look at 2018, very small, going upwards. We've not been able to increase it. The only increment we had was in 2021, when we generated in excess of 12 billion naira. So now, this 7.4% is telling you, this particular trend is telling you how far our IGR has contributed to the total revenues that we've gotten. So in 2021, that is the year that we recorded the highest ever contribution of our IGR with 16.3%, while it took another decline in 2022, where it contributed just 7.4%. So this particular trend is telling you that we are not doing what needs to be done. I think that is a point issue. I stopped at the expenditure component. I was talking about how we've not been able to expend our resources judiciously in areas that needed the resources the most. As you all know, there are 2 main expenditure categories. We have the capital as well as the recurrent. So now, investment in capital segments are very, very vital for states that have very little economic profile. In 2018, we've not been able to use resources as we needed to. I was trying to tell you the cumulative expenditure that we had in the last 5 years. We spent in excess of 400 180 billion naira cumulatively, but only 28% of that went into capital investment. That means investment in human development, investment in infrastructure, investment in the services sector as well. Now, moving to the next component, which is the overheads. So now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So as you all know, like I said, MDAs or ministries, departments, and agencies, as they run, they incur expenditure, yes. So now, we need to balance strategically on which expenditure are we going to spend and the threshold that we are going to set for each and every expenditure component. Looking at our overheads, we've been spending a lot on overheads to such an extent that overhead expenditure is way beyond what we spend on paying salaries. And as we all know, overhead expenditure are basically expenditures that we do for daily running of offices, recurrent expenses of offices. So now it begs the question, why would you pay recurrent expenses higher than the amount that you pay for people that are working in those offices? If you are paying salaries, let's say a total of 100 naira for all your workers, for example, all your staff in a month, 100 naira, for example, and then you spend 200 naira to run their offices. So now there is a gap of 100 naira. So it begs the question, okay, why would you spend much more on recurrent office expenses? So these are areas that we also need to address, and they are areas that are involving important revenues. Now the last but not the least, the area of debt service. I would have loved to show it's live there. Live with
We have the International Federation of Women Lawyers under the able leadership of Amina Kabir. Thank you for coming. We have victims of violence. We have supportive staff of Trata, as well as other CSOs. Good to go? Okay, thank you.
So like I was saying regarding the issue of overheads. So now this, as you can see the indicators from there, the blue line is the actual personnel expenditure. That means the amount that we spend on paying salaries. While the red line is the amount that we use to spend on overhead, official cost, payment of utility bills, printing paper, fuel for generators and what have you. So if you look at, in 2018, look at the margin. We spent 70 to inject in other sectors of growth. And this is a trend that needs to be checkmated if at all we are going to move forward. The last but not the least, this is very important. Like I said, every government has an obligation to pay debt. If you borrow money, you must make annual budgetary provisions for it to be able to service your debt. So now, you can see a 40% mark here. I've dotted it here. So this 40% mark is like the threshold, like the bar that the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, has set for states and subnationals to use as the yardstick for payment of salaries. So this 40% is telling you that you are not allowed to use more than 40% of your revenues for that particular year to service your debt. But in Zamfara State, as you can see, the debt payment trajectory is going upwards exponentially. In fact, in 2021, we were just at the threshold that we are not expected to cross. But then going to 2022, we are not expected to pass 40%, but in 2022, we've even gone higher, 45.7%. So that means we spent 45.7% of our total revenues to pay debt. So what this is telling is that
it is the revenue that we are supposed to use for capital expenses that we are spending here. The more you spend on paying salaries, the less the room that you have for you to invest in areas of infrastructure. So what this is saying is that if you have 100 naira, for example, your total revenue is 100 naira. That means we have used 55 naira. So in 2022, what this 45.7% is trying to tell you is that if you have 100 naira, that means you spent 45 naira, 7 kobo paying debt. So what remains for you is what? 53 naira, 3 kobo for you to pay salaries, for you to do overheads, for you to do capital expenses. And as you all know, government prioritize being able to take care of themselves, paying salaries and doing overheads. This is a basic component. So what is going to suffer most is the capital revenue bracket. We will have less and less money to invest in human capital development. So all these particular charts are just here to tell you what we need to do and what we are doing very well. So these are some of the policy options that we've given as a way forward. Number one, we need to increase public revenues. We need money to do expenses, right? So now, not just public revenue, but internal revenue generation. Because when you rely overly on external revenues, you are much more prone to fiscal shocks as well as fiscal stress. So we need to boost our internally generated revenue. And the best way for you to do that is to invest in the services sector. When people use services, definitely they're going to pay taxes, right? And when they pay taxes, you up your internal revenue. And the second is policy-based expenditure. We've been spending money recklessly without any policy guide. So we need to be able to focus resources carefully on areas and sectors that are going to ensure that the poor man in Mafara or Gumi enjoys the dividends of democracy. And the third, increase capital investments. We've had money. Last year we spent, our total expenditure was over 130 billion naira. But more than 60% of that went into recurrent expenses, more than 60%. So now, if you're not spending more, if you're not investing more in the capital component, then definitely we are just going to be a recurrent state. We are just doing recurrent expenses over and over again, and we are not investing enough resources to make sure that we attain some level of economic growth. Number 4, reduction in the cost of governance. I can see now this particular administration has reduced the number of ministries, departments, and MPAs, which is good. But overall, we need to make sure that not just reduction in the number of ministries, but also reduction in the amount that they incur in running themselves. It makes no sense for you to reduce the number of ministries, but then your overhead is still way higher. You understand? So we need to reduce the cost at which we run government. There are a lot of ministries that we do not need, we scrap them or we merge them. There are a lot of expenses that we do not need to incur them at the threshold that we're incurring them now. We also need to revisit that. Then last but not the least, sustainable debt management. Like I showed you in the last slide, this particular debt service mechanism is not sustainable. If we continue there, that means if we do not arrest it, going by this particular trend, in 2023 it will go 50%. And if it goes this way without checkmating it, then definitely we are just a fiscal wreck. So we need to carefully devise a debt exit strategy that does not put a lot of stress and strain on the lean resources that we have, so that we have enough fiscal width or space to be able to invest in human capital development. Without taking much of your time, I think I've come to the end of my presentation, and I think I have clearly elaborated why and how we can be able to address this particular problem of fiscal irresponsibility that we are currently embroiled in. Thank you so much for listening.
Let's just go straight to the point of questions, and you select this so that we should have questions. Select number of people.
I think 3 is okay. I think 3 is okay.
We have 3 rows per se. 1, 2, and 3. So you can randomly select.
Yeah, I'll start with.
Okay. Please slide to the debt.
Just make it full screen, please. debt, you said debt? Here?
Okay. Thank you so much for the presentation. Please, permit me to speak with someone.
It's okay.
Idan jiha ta ci bashi da ya sunana Ziyarar Yusuf na fito daga Zurich, ina wakiltar ƙungiya ta matasa. Idan jiha ta ci bashi da ya fi ƙarfinta, wannan yana nuna cewa kenan za ta kasa yin ɗaya daga cikin abu na farko biyan ma.
So an baka bashi that means akwai hanyar da za a iya dawo da wannan kuɗin misali. So na biyu kuma ita gwamnati ko ta ciyo bashi definitely mun san cewa sai ta biya bashin nan ko ba ta. So za ta biya bashin amma kuma abun na biyu da za ta yi prioritizing shine gudanar da kanta biyan ma'aikata da kuma daukar ɗawainiyar gudanar da office. Wannan biyu shine wani capital expenditure daga baya suke daukar shi. Shi yasa muka ga other states da bashi ya musu yawa lokacin Buhari farkon tenure din shi an ba ma wasu state bailout. So ma kasa biyan albashin kawunan su misali. So that is what happens, and that is why it is important for us to address issue na debt management. We are incurring debt on an annual basis, and then the debt exit strategy is not as effective as it should be. Go back. So there are a lot of ways that we can make sure that deal in the muka is striking in the first place, we can renegotiate those terms. We can renegotiate, and we can also improve our revenues. We can improve revenue, we be bashi, and also surplus, so without doing so okay, to abu na biyu ba wai investment ne a capital X ya za mu dauke musulmi ma'aikata ya za mu gudanar da kan wannan shi ne abu da ke gaba gwamnati ba yau ba shi yasa the more we spend money muna biyan bashi the more kudin da ya kamata a matalaka aiki da shi yake sake tsukewa. So I think I've answered the question. Next.
Okay, an affiliate of the General Labour Congress. Okay. Mine is the same on the same page.
Okay.
What I wanted to is just like a suggestion. I wanted the presenter to add more color to his presentation by we are just seeing a decline, I mean the appreciation of the development we have in the state. What I wanted is that I wanted you to do something by add another slide by giving us some level of hope. When are we expecting to have a kind of a decline of this graph you are having? Maybe since all this don't have a period, maybe in 3 years' time, maybe this is what we're expecting. We're going to see a decline or something of that nature. So that's what I wanted to do.
Thank you. But then, if you look at this particular trend, that is why it is very important for us to know the mechanisms or the systems that have led us to reach this particular threshold. Now, going by this particular graph, if you look at it, it's on an upward trajectory, right? So now what this is implying is that if we did not do anything of these particular recommendations, this particular trend is bound to continue. You understand? This particular trend is bound to continue if we did not arrest the problem. And that is why at the end of my discussion, I gave policy options for us to adopt. Okay, it's either we adopt 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are very, very important for us to make sure that we address. If we did not do that, then the forecast is still going to be on an upward trajectory because we need to pay debt, right? So the main problem is not the money to pay the debt. The money to pay the debt is assured because the lender knows that yes, you are going to pay back, but it is the structure of the deal to pay the payment that matters the most, right? So if we have 40 billion naira to give this year, why can't we renegotiate? Okay, now we want to pay, let's say installmentally, or we want to pay at a certain percentage and incur a certain interest rate, for example. So all these are options that we can take to make sure that this particular graph goes southwards, not northwards. Thank you.
This should be women. This should be women.
The fiscal anomalies in the state, paring back half a decade, right? So now we presented this to the permanent secretary minister, but then we had a high-level engagement with them, and we presented copies of our research report on this particular issue. And we are currently working towards making sure that we get the feedback because they told us that they've validated it and we're good to go.
We are going to also organize a program to ensure that we draw commitment to the policy options that we've given them. So I think that answers the question, right? Yeah.
Let me thank these organizers that as far back as 20 years ago, if you call Nigeria as a lawless country, corrupt country, you will be painted black. Last 30 years ago, once Sonika is still alive, he said he regret being born in a lawless country like Nigeria. He was painted dark black on the soda, some newspaper carrying him with donkey head, some with dog, with every sort of nonsense. But today he said in Nigeria, a professor rigged election. But he went and sent students out of school for examination practice. So let us say thank you for telling us that there is corruption in the country. There is corruption in the country. And it's the only thing that spoiled our nation. We are talking of generated revenue. In Nigeria, it's only workers that pay revenue 100%. 100%. Somebody will earn 20 cars in his house. No any particulars. If you like, stop outside there. Any big man, his wife, himself, and his children are not paying for their assets. And it's continuously going on. And we are seeing it. But let me tell you one thing. The two labor centers, that is NLCTUC, I agree that can come and honest. So for anybody that wants us to go together, he must come. And anybody that feels that is not going to be possible, it's going to be possible. The truth is, it was late that they caught our attention, but nevertheless, it's for our own benefit we are going to make it. I don't want to expose myself up. We were sold by our northern leaders. We were sold. All nonsense is happening in northern Nigeria. Who will go and blast people in Ikiti, Inigo, and Imo and went and sleep? Nonsense. The deputy president is coming to carry an envelope of 20,000 people. Shamelessly, here in the north, they will go and bandit a village. Nobody will talk. If you talk, last time, army leaders were invited at the house. He said it wasn't our problem. We will arrest somebody, we will take him to the court. The next week we will have him in our village, intimating our brothers and sisters. Is it not happening in Nigeria? So if in Nigeria the leaders want us to take you into our hand, it will come. Somebody will tell you there is a constituency project. How many years do we spend? Where is the constituency project in northern Nigeria? Where is it? Somebody will even go and build and return it as its personal building. Where is the building that Madam Padid in? Let me call it by name. Is it his personal building? MBA. Please. I said it. NLCTUC. I agree that I am from the Christ. Come, let us go. As it is now, we were guided. Before we are hearing it, today we are guided. If we mean it, we can make it. We have Egyptian leaders and they are ready to support us. If we are in government, we cannot go and on it 100%. We add our veteran to on it. It was here in Nigeria, here in the north, that in the evening, you cannot go out. It was here in the north that a governor will carry 1,500 people to Saudi Arabia, while
and nobody will talk to him, and he will think God is hopeless to answer his prayer. Let's tell us the truth. It's yet. I have so many things that I don't want to say them here because we have program in the radio today. So I will not set my mind on anybody. But in the northern Nigeria is enough. In the northern Nigeria is enough. Our leaders have told us, go and pet a petroleum and see what will happen to you. And go and pet God and see how you will be impressed. You will go to a local government without the knowledge of local government chairman, without the knowledge of anybody, and enter into which that you are given certificate from Abuja. Does it because we are not in Nigeria? And we allow it to continue like that? If we meant to do it, we can do it because we are aware. We are aware. Now this year, there is considerable project fund that was given to our people that we send, thinking that they will go and present that for our interest. Who said anything? Nobody says it. So MBA, let's work it. Let's work it. We need your support. We need your assistance. And you show concern. Because for us to call you yesterday and see, we want you here and you are all present. We appreciate you. God bless you. Thank you so much.
So on behalf of the two labor centers, elders and the QC, we want to thank you most sincerely for considering us as critical holders in this process. So once again, I also want to thank the organizers for giving us all this entertainment and also for sharing this information with us. So finally, I want to say that we hope that inshallah, all the relevant stakeholders that we may eventually invite, so that we come together and we be able to come just as we have our people here around. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa
barakatuh. From the last two speakers, I noticed the temperature is high. So I really wanted to calm it down a bit, but suddenly they started to soak again. But I will still go with my plan to calm it down a bit by telling you one story. 96, 97, Dr. Kabir Suleiman, as he then was the Minister of Petroleum. There was an old boys meeting that was called by Sakuba, the Abakar College Old Boys Association. He was invited as the chief guest. He was there, he made his presentation. Luckily enough, I was student there in that same secondary school. And I was one of those assigned to make sure that the hall was prepared, chairs arranged, and guests were taken to the place they are supposed to sit. I was seen as somebody in a capacity now to be with the Minister of Petroleum at that time, where and luckily enough, when the minister was coming out from the hall, I was the only student that shook his hand. So throughout that week, the story in our school was the minister was here and Maazu shook his hand. It was a privilege. And since that time, I never set my eyes on Professor again. But today, as God will have it, I broke the streak. I shook his hand again. I'm expecting to hear from the media people that are here when they go out there to be saying Chairman and NBA also shook the hand of Professor Kabir, so that the story will be. Now, gentlemen, having said that, I always want to say this wherever I happen to have the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Nigerian Bar Association. Promoting the rule of law is what we stand for as lawyers. And what is the promoting the rule of law with us? Promoting the rule of law is all about justice. It's all about equity and equality. It's about placing things where it is supposed to be. Now, we are talking about the devil that reared its ugly head in our society and making it look like we are all bad. corruption in a country like ours, as is today, is making it look like, especially by the people from outside Nigeria, that we are all bad because of what we are experiencing today as a fate that we have taken or accepted by ourselves. But when we talk about corruption, is it the problem of the law or the problem of the people? If you say it is a problem of the law, then I will also be bold to say it is the same time problem of the people, because it is the same people that are making these laws. It is the same people that are interpreting these laws. It is the same people that are breaking these laws that we, as judiciary, have to interpret in our own way and our understanding. Now, it is obvious that the problem is ours as people, ours as associations, ours even as government. But most importantly, it's a problem that has to do with our being as human and in the situation or condition we find ourselves. Let me tell you one thing to portray this further. I came out of my house one day, going somewhere, but I had a reason to stop somewhere to give a message. I noticed two young children playing, 5, 6, 7-year-old, two children. Then I called them. I was holding a granite in my hand. Then I called them. One of them came, he left the other there. Then I gave him the granite. I told him specifically, go and share with your brother. Now, I gave them the granite. I went and finished whatever I was doing. I came back. As I was entering my car, I noticed the two of them driving. The one that I called was holding the granite, while the other one was dragging his handbag, telling him something that I didn't hear. Now I was curious. Now I called all of them. I said, come, what happened? Quickly, the person that was dragging the other guy's hand, he told me, I asked him in Hausa, Nache Emini, Yake Emini. I said, what is wrong with us? These are 5, 6, 7-year-old children. And when I gave him that granite, I told him specifically, share with your brother. And this brother decided to eat it alone and left another brother. You see, this is where we started. And this is where we are today, complaining, blaming somebody in the address of the government. Gentlemen, I am a revenue man. I double as a revenue person. I work with the Federal Revenue Service, and I served as Secretary to the Forest Management for more than 7 years. And let me tell you one thing about the idea of having all of us to meet here and discuss about corruption, whatever it is. At one of the management meeting at FRS there, we had a visit from US Treasury. It is an intervention on the ERGM, Economic Reforms and Governance Program. A professor from Ireland asked, why are Nigerians don't want to pay tax? Why? It was based on this that the management decided to invite another professor to come and deliver a lecture on why are we not paying tax. And there was one point he made, which is Mahali Shahid in what I am trying to tell you. He said, the problem is, we are taking the problem of not paying tax as problem of the able, problem of those that are in position to pay. They are not paying. But if we can just change the narrative to make it a problem of the society, we'll see how people pick it, and it will make sense. Now, a study group was inaugurated. They went and had a lot of research on that, and they came out with the idea, which was introduced into other universities. They call it catch them young. Meaning, in our Nigerian higher institutions, we don't have much as being, taught taxation. So what they said, they will create what they call professorial chairs, where every institution will give a professor that will dedicate his time to study, do research on taxation, thereby introducing the concept of taxation as a subject in secondary school, in primary school, in secondary school, even in the higher institutions, so that people will get to know what is tax since at the grassroots. They will get to know what responsibility they have as citizens to discharge that constitutional responsibility. So that by the time they grow in 10, 15, 20, 25 years to come, they are all conversant on what it is to pay tax and what crime it is not to pay. And even if there are consequences, they should be known since when they are young. And for me, this is the same approach that this idea of corruption should be given. And for me, honestly, we are not getting it right. If we choose to only talk about corruption when we are in the midst of people in authority telling them, you are not supposed to collect, you are collecting, you are destroying the country, we are not going anywhere. We are not getting it right. For me, fighting against corruption should start from the grassroots. So that even not in our lifetime, in the next 20, 30, 40 years to come, when most of us will not be alive, of course the idea is already injected into the mind of those coming up. So if we cannot be proud today that we fight corruption, in our demise, we will be known, we will be recalled as people who set the standard to fight corruption and it succeed. If we can only introduce possibly a topic in our primary school, secondary school, or even the higher institution, that will deal with the issue of corruption, its menace, how it is destroying our country, how can we go about killing it before it kills all of us? I'm telling you, our children, our grandchildren will work up with the idea, hating the idea completely of having to collect something as a gratification for another person for doing or not doing something. From there we can pick up and we can continue. And if we take it as a fight between citizens, so to say, and government, I want to remind you one thing. We have EFCC.
Ƙwaƙwalwar ta busa ta san na waɗannan maganganun kada mu basu su zube ƙasa banza a yi ta yin magana kamar maganar haru na shekari. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala duk abin da za mu faɗi ko muke faɗi a nan kada mu taɓa mantawa da addinin. Waɗanda suke cikin wannan ƙungiya da wannan ƙungiya da wannan ƙungiya aiki ne na rayuwar duniya, kuma rayuwar duniya in kai aiki don Allah sai Allah ya baka aljanna. Wannan na biyu a addinin musulunci ko kuma wannan cutar da muke ciki ana cewa cin hanci da rashawa. Cin hanci shine aiki, rashawar ma ba Hausa ba ce. Amma ga turanci ya za mu fassara watan cin hanci da barna ko kuma abin da yake munkari. Hausa ta gaza bayyana menene cin rashawa, sai ta ce cin hanci. To abin da nan in muka lura shi addini kai da an ka halitta ya bambata. Wallahi tallahi mutum guda kadai mun ka amsar ma kudin shi, wani da an san mishi kudi na aikin haji, wanda ya anshi kudin ya ce ka je ka kawo wanda zai amsa maka. Ran da ya bayyana a gaban mun ka anshi kudin, ya ji daɗi ya kai buhun masara a gida, sai da ya cire rigar shi muka ce yana fita na raba wannan buhun masara tunda gwamnati ya bani abun da ya ishe ni gwargwado nake manage. Dubi halayen waɗanda suke cikin gwamnati ba su yi ilimi ba su yi karatu ba su yi sanin Allah ba. Na mu cire tunanin mu cewa duk wani wanda ya zama gwamna ko wani wanda ya zama abin da sanata wai yana shugabancin ka ne don kanka. Billahi la ilaha illa huwa, ba don yan Najeriya suke wajen shugabanci ba. In muna farkawa mu Allah cikin ayyukanmu za a ba da mamaki. Abinda ake cewa kai ka san kanka, ni na san kaina, na san kuskure na, wannan ma ya san kuskure shi. Shin an zauna ana ta cutar mu, ba su son mu samu goma a gidanka, buhun shinkafa 60,000 salari ɗinka da kyar ya kai 120, to kai kaka da shi. Gwamna ina zuwa, gwamna rigar shi, takalmin shi, hatta ku yaye min da wannan kalma, kudin kwanciya da iyalin shi ma sai an biya shi. Ya fi ka ne? To Allah ya sa mu dace. Wannan shine corruption. Najeriya ba ta iya ba mu wuta 24 hours. Ba mu da insecurity kamar duk yadda an gaba. Me yasa ba mu da ruwan sha? Allah ya ce mu kuɗi shai saboda son da Allah ke maka har ya aje maka ruwa ƙarƙashin ƙasa kai ɗan adam. Yasa ake bohol mu samu ruwan ƙarƙashin ƙasa in na sama sun doke, amma ba mu da ruwan sha, ba mu da lafiya, ba mu da ilimi, makarantunmu, asibitocinmu, makarantunmu, ba mu da security, babu wuta 24 hours. Na yi karatu a Ghana, sun ka celebrate good 21 years wuta ba ta taɓa tsaftawa ba, ƙasa ta Ghana shekara 21 wuta ba ta taɓa ɗaukewa ba. Kai compare Ghana da Nigeria, za mu yi addu'a. إنا نسألك أن تجعل يومنا هذا يوما مباركا أوله صلاحا وأوسطه فلاحا وآخره نجاعا وعفوا وإتقا من النار، واجعل اللهم لنا فيه يا الله من كل هم فرجا ومن كل ضيق محرجا ومن كل فاحشة سترا ومن كل عسر يسرا ومن كل بلاء عفوا، واكفنا من مهمات الدارين، واكفنا يا الله من مهمات الدارين، واغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولسائر المؤمنين والمسلمات برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين. اللهم انا نسالك خير الصباح وخير المساء وخير القضاء وخير القدر وخير ما جرى به القدر، ونعوذ بك من شر الصباح وشر المساء وشر ما جرى به القدر، ونسالك اللهم يا الله زياده في البركه في العلم والدين ورزق في العمر وتوبه قبل الموت وراحه عند الموت ومغفره وسلامه بعد الموت برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين. اللهم انا نعوذ بك من الهم والحزن، ونعوذ بك من العجز والكسل، ونعوذ بك من غلبة الدين وقهر الرجال. اللهم اجعل اجتماعنا هذا اجتماعا مرحوما مباركا، ولا تجعل فينا ولا معنا ولا حولنا شقيا ولا محروما. الله وإن سكي da kwakwalwa sun ka tsara wannan taro da shi prof yadda ya taso daga Kaduna ya zo domin ya kawo mana wannan alheri a jihar Zamfara. Allah ka maida shi lafiya a gidan shi. Manufan nan da ake son ta tabbata ya Allah kada ka bar mu da karfin mu da dubarun mu, Allah ka jagorance mu, Allah ka jagoranci wannan abun, Allah ya tabbatar da wannan abu, Allah ya sa waɗannan ƙungiyoyin masu ƙarfi masu albarka yadda sun kai alƙawari, Allah ka tabbatar da wannan alƙawari. Allah ka san damuwar prof na ƙoƙarin cewa jihar Zamfara kai ba shi ba, hatta kuɗin da an ka taso daga Sokoto a zo nan jihar Zamfara prof ya bada. To wannan damuwar tashi Allah ka bashi aljanna, mu kuma da mun ka tattaru nan Allah ya kasan bukatunmu, kasan damuwar arewa, kasan damuwar jihar Zamfara, Allah ka kashe muna wannan fitina, Allah ka ba mu ikon tuba. Mu dai sani cewa watan bala'i la yanzilu illa bil dhanb wa la yurfa illa bit tawbati sahiha. Bala'i bai sauka sai da zunubi, kuma Allah bai doke shi sai mun tuba. Allah ka ba mu ikon tuba mu koma ga Allah. Mun san ana cikin kunci na economic na abubuwan hannu, amma masu mata ɗaiɗai Allah ka ba su ikon karawa, masu mata ɗaiɗai Allah ka ba su ikon karawa. Matan da suke nan tare da mu Allah in suna da miji Allah ka ba su ikon mallakan mazajensu ta hanya alheri ba ta hanyar sihiri ba. Masu biyu Allah ka ba su ikon karawa, Allah ka bungulo mu da arziki duk inda yake, Allah ka albarkaci wannan الأبد. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد صلاة تنجينا بها من جميع الأهوال والآفات وتقديرنا بها من جميع الحاجات وتطهرنا بها من جميع السيئات وترفعنا بها عندك أعلى الدرجات وتبلغنا بها أقصى الغايات من جميع الخيرات في الحياة وبعد الممات. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين إن شاء الله. Thank you so much.
No problem. Focus on two states, Zamfara and Borno State. We found this an opportunity to come and engage members of see how do we which will assist the government to strengthen social.
So what were the major issues you raised here?
Well, the major issues, for over the years, people have been talking about corruption. I think corruption has so many, you can find corruption at that time, so many cases about corruption. We did here is to look at what were the indices that social crisis. Of course, corruption, the way it is generally understood, is name. But corruption issue accompanies wider phenomenon. And it is what we now present as the catchword. Behind it is to make sure that governance in Zamfara operates as a corporate scientific business, where the arms of the government is check their functions appropriately, where the citizens actually know their rights, participation, we can participate in their actions by assisting government, and by also holding their leaders accountable. Also, the leaders who have been elected should also know what they are supposed to actually do. And like I said here, when the dividend of democracy is not just people, it's governor, the president, what do you do? I mean, the money is money, it's not your grandfather. You didn't come to the money, so it's I mean, that's what you ought to do. I think the major ingredient of democracy is democracy itself. That leaders should be accountable. So people are right. See, here we approach governance from a very wrong perspective. We think government is right and everybody is wrong. But where real democracy is, the government is always wrong. It is the people that are right. So governments must be ready to explain to people what they are doing. And they must take cognizance of what the people want their own terms. You can't run government on the terms of functioning of government. Government must be run on the term of the citizens. So that's the core. Of course, we are not going to achieve this today. But what we hope is that let's have enlightened citizens who come now. Maybe they can dialogue with government and be great with. I'm hoping, I hope actually the new dispensation that was in Zamfara actually understand this cause. And it came as a result of the aspirations of the people. And we also the opportunity for the people actually to find the ways in which they can collaborate with government, assist the government, so that the government can be real difference from what the brands are going over the years.
Finally, sir, what are your expectations from the participants?
Well, there's already a resolution. I mean, they have resolved that the meeting is only to, let's say, create a platform, and the platform will be created. I mean, my expectation, I have this belief that they are already concerned. So the issue is that what do we do after this? And they are ready now to move forward, because they are engaging their members, and they are going to meet again, and they are going to own up the initiative. Hopefully then they will roll out what I can get as you can't change the society overnight. And there are so many things to do. It has been existing for how many years now? And then maybe, let's see, what do we hope to see? Maybe even at the end of the tenure of this government, in the next few years, what changes do we want to see? Maybe in terms of education, because like you see the presentation by the IG, the president was finding it. The president is already sitting. We have the largest gold deposit in the entire West Africa. So, but the issue that we have the government, of course, it's a national government. The government are not going to do so much. Because I don't know whether still, I think mineral is already exclusive, it's not concurrent. But I think it's part of it. Even the government should actually push forward for concurrency. But the crux of it is that the government find a way in which it can stand on its feet. And what I'm saying is that the government is the first step. Because we have the resources, possibility of the human resources. But the issue is to conscientize the people to know that, of course, the government alone cannot do everything. So you also have to come in and find a way in which you can assist, create a channel.
Thank you, Prof. Very briefly,